We good. We on. All right. Jimmy.
Hi.
Lucy.
Hi.
Welcome to the Carrie Croft Show, part 2.
Yeah.
My apologies. You know, it's the tech crew sometimes is a little suspect around here.
Got it.
So, you know, we just had to come in and revamp. But I think everything's meant to be because now you've had a chance to sit with your time here and marinate on your experience. So I think this is probably meant to be, don't you think?
I agree.
Probably.
So for people out there who don't already know or weren't following when you guys were here,
Yeah.
so Jimmy and Lucy came in and did a shadow. And they're high schoolers, but they're just way ahead of their time. And so they wanted to see what life was like a day in the life of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so how did we start the day? How did we start the day together?
On our hands and knees. We
Exactly.
were cleaning.
Working.
You got to put in work.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking when I got the cleaner out initially? We were like, oh God, here we go. Lesson from an old lady.
I don't even know. I was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when you clean for other people, it's kind of fun. When you clean for yourself, it's like not, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to tell your parents out there, because I'm sure they'll be listening. The cleaning skills were about a 6.5, maybe 6.75. But you guys had a little, it was okay.
Yeah.
We could have done better. Yeah.
So then we got into some good stuff, right? You got to see somebody on a show, and then you got to actually be on the show.
Yeah.
So what were did you guys have to go back to school and like give a report, or did you talk to anybody about your experience? How did that?
No, which is kind of interesting to
I know.
me.
I thought that was interesting too. We didn't have to do like anything.
No,
with
I was
it.
expecting because I remember in 8th grade we did shadowing day 2, and we had like a whole assignment we had to do, and like a whole interview we had to do with the person we were shadowing. And this one was just like, do it.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Nothing else.
But even the kids didn't talk amongst themselves,
Like
like,
the
hey, this
kids-
is what
No,
I
yeah,
did,
the
and it was
kids
boring,
did.
or this was great.
Or some teachers would ask who did everyone shadow? And some people would share, but it wasn't like a thing where we had to
Okay.
yeah.
What were your takeaways? Lucy, go first.
I thought it was super cool. I've never seen how a podcast has been done and produced, and it's a lot of work. Good for you. You do a lot to put all together, and I'm not very techie, but all the stuff that you were showing us with the audio and the video, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I thought our shadowing day was a lot more cool than
Yeah.
what my friends were talking about.
I agree.
I'm not into the surgeries and the doctor. I feel like all my friends did went to a doctor or something like that.
Well, yeah,
It's not
I
my
know.
thing.
Went to a doctor.
Yeah.
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 What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really cool. That's all the tech stuff was definitely very different. And yeah, it is a lot of work, but also just the whole room that you've set up is really amazing too. The whole studio idea.
Thank you, guys. So what are you guys thinking? What do you want to do with your lives? Do you have any clue? When I was a sophomore, I mean, I look back, we won't go into great detail about what I was doing, but it certainly wasn't thinking long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you have any?
I feel like now it's the time where everyone is starting to think about it, but I don't.
I agree. I feel like it's very pushed. Everybody's always parents. If you go out to dinner, you see your parents' friends or something oh, where do you want to go to college? I'm I don't know. But I feel like it's definitely a big question.
It's always awkward answering that. 'Cause I don't know
I
what
really
to
just
say all the
don't
time.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, I have
I have
ideas, but it's kind of well, why do I think that? I don't know.
What are your parents? I mean, I don't know your dad, but I know your mom, and I know your parents very well.
Oh yeah.
So what do they try to kind of push certain things on you, or can you tell that there's certain things they may want you to do? Because parents, as much as they try, we all sort of want to put our opinions in there.
Yeah.
How do they do it? How do they sneak it in?
Well, I had an older brother, and he's out of college, and so I think my mom is kind of seeing how that plays out, and so she definitely tries to push me certain ways, certain classes, or I think my parents want to move out of here, so they're trying to make me go out of Ohio.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
She wants to strategically place you somewhere warm.
Yeah, which I'm not. I want to go somewhere warm.
You're not
Yeah.
complaining. Yeah, I get
That could be good for all parties.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My parents have my parents want me to go to for musical theater so bad. And
Do you want to?
yeah, I do. But I don't know, I didn't realize they really wanted me to.
Yeah.
I almost was I feel like it's really risky to do that. there's not much jobs obviously you can get with like that major in college. And so I'm like, I feel like that's so like risky to do. So for a while I was like, I don't know if I am, but they were telling me like, no, like do it. We want you to so bad. And I didn't realize that until recently.
Does that make you feel
A little better about it, actually. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I just don't think there's the same, I don't want to say pressure, but I don't think you're pigeonholed the way that you were when I was your age in terms of like, yes, if I go to school for X, Y, and Z, then there's no way I'm going to. In this world, in today's world, you can do so many different things.
Yeah.
I mean, look at just the whole idea of personal branding, entrepreneurship. It's a different landscape. Some people aren't even going to college.
Right.
So I believe that you go for something you love. And hey, if it doesn't work out, I think there's going to be a lot of different opportunities that will come out of it.
I know what you mean.
But you also mentioned wanting to be a teacher potentially.
I did talk about that for a bit.
I think that would be an interesting
Middle school,
avenue
high
too.
school, elementary.
High school, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd be great at that.
You think?
Well, I don't know though, because now the celebrity status that Mean Girls has brought, I don't know. I personally went on Sunday, mind blown.
Yeah.
Let's take a park here for Mean Girls. First of all, good job UA to kind of push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
definitely.
love, so whoever decided to do this and like put those relevant kind of uncomfortable things in there, good for them.
We took a lot out. Well, okay. We didn't take out any like storylines or like big lines. It was more just like, oh, we're going to say stuff instead of shit. We're going to say like darn instead of fuck. Like it's just like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but like, stuff like that.
This is the Carrie Croft show. You can say fuck freely.
Yeah. But like,
oh God, can you hear your mom? Jimmy.
I know, literally.
Keith, he said fuck on the Carrie Croft show.
Yeah. It's just like stuff like that.
So I personally was tickled by the things that were said because I think it made some people uncomfy.
It definitely did.
And I think that it's good for UA a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I think so.
Everything was completely relevant and some of the stuff is like hard to hear, but you know, even like what was it said about America, like political unrest and something else, or two things they said.
And everyone's on opioids.
Yes. And like that's like a hard hitting thing to say.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's true.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So how was your experience doing all that? It's a grind, right? Like the whole play.
Oh my God, I know. It's such a big commitment. Like people are so surprised because like I tell people like the audition process and I'm like, oh, and the number one thing that people are surprised by, there's two things. Is one, that people were cut from the musical who auditioned, like they didn't get in the cast. Is something that people are very surprised about. Yeah. And then the other thing is that like for the last like 3 weeks we've been there till like 9 p.m. like rehearsing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's something.
And you're at school the whole day too.
I know,
so
exactly.
you're just there.
So I've been there for like 13, 14 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like crazy.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think, okay, so I know last year during school, like we got to watch Beauty and the Beast. Do
Yeah.
you think that we weren't allowed to watch it during school because it was a little like touchy
Because
for
it
some
was
people?
PG. Yeah, that's why we weren't allowed to.
Interesting.
Because we were going, well, what we were going to do was we were going to do like the same thing we did with Beauty and the Beast last year.
Yeah.
But then we were like, we don't know how people are going to feel about that because we heard from some teachers are like, yeah, I'm not letting my kids go see that show.
Really?
Yeah, some teachers were saying that. So we're like, oh, interesting. But then there's going to be talk. You know, we did a pep rally last Friday.
Yeah.
They were going to do like one song from it, but
Yeah.
then people just were like, I don't think we want to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a fan. Now,
I loved it.
Now, Regina,
Oh, yeah.
what's her name?
Abby Swart. Shout out.
Girl, let's talk about your voice.
No, I know.
What is going on with her?
She's amazing. Incredible.
Like she started to sing and I was like, I'm like, what is
no,
going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like like
It was so good.
I'm so
seriously,
locked
so
in
good.
by her. Like whenever
Yes.
she sings, I'm just like, yeah.
It was so great. And you
No,
guys
she's amazing.
you guys were all so good in your own way. What about the mom, the cool mom?
Tessa Druin, shout out to her.
I mean, what is going on with her?
She's
Could you imagine
crazy.
her at home, like practicing doing that?
No, I can.
I know you, because I mean, I know you do your own form of practicing at home by singing and, doing all, but like she was out of this world.
No, she's
Karen,
amazing.
you all were just
Karen,
like,
Yeah.
she was good too.
Unbelievable.
Everyone fit so well. Like their
I
personalities.
think it was
with
very well
everything.
cast.
It
The
was
show.
so good. Yeah.
it was so great. And so who were the main adults? Like who were the main people that produced the show?
Okay, so our choir teacher, Dr. Moss.
Okay.
He was like, he produced it. Was the producer, and the music director. She does helps with the choirs at like Jones, Hastings, and the high school, but she's not like any like the main choir teachers. But she's the music director, and then our choreographer is just someone we hired from like she does like professional theaters like just like around Ohio, and we hired the director too.
Well, kudos to all of you out
I
there.
know.
Yeah.
That was
for real.
amazing. Blood, sweat, and tears. It did not go unnoticed.
Yeah.
So speaking of these cliques that you
Yeah.
guys highlight, every high school, every school has their quote unquote clique. But how close to home when you're watching it
Yeah.
as a high schooler, where you're like, yep, know that person. Yep, know that person. Is it, how
I-
true to life is that to your high school?
I don't know. I mean, I think some of it's true.
I definitely think some of it's true. I think it's also like, I have to say, I feel like it might be even more true for like middle school.
Oh, I think it's more
You
true for
know?
middle school because I think
Like,
high school, like, I don't even
That
know.
movie totally screams like middle school to me. But
Oh, it does. But it's like high school.
it's high school
middle
like
school.
life, but it's like the middle
Yeah.
school thought, I guess.
No, I know what you mean exactly. Because I feel like middle school is stereotypical high school,
Yeah.
and so it's like that. I feel like
Or even just like freshman year.
yeah,
Maybe. And then like you kind of grow up and it's like still so there's like issues, but maybe less cliques. Like in high
Yeah.
school it's like a little more like free, like
Well, Lucy,
group
you
type
were
of
sharing
thing.
that you hated middle school.
yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
just like because you just didn't vibe, or
Yeah.
you were awkward. And then when did it? I'm guessing. I'm speaking
Yeah.
for you. But when did it like when you were a freshman? Then where you're like, oh, okay, I'm seeing a path here to a different situation.
Yeah.
Like explain how that went.
Like almost I feel like school and just like my teachers played like such a big role into just like me, like I don't know, like growing up a little bit and like feeling just like more like myself and like, oh, these are the things I like. Like I like language arts, like, and I'm not like weird about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then sports too, cheer and lacrosse and like finding different groups of people. Like you're not just like pinned to a group, but like you can have a group of friends and then also like, your friends in theater, your friends in sports,
Exactly.
your friends outside of school, and you're not just like, if I can't hang out with my friend group on Friday night, like I can be with my parents or I can go, be by myself or
Yeah.
go be with these friends from like my sports teams. So yeah, I think like just that change in freshman year for everybody. And it's just like a new school. It's new new faces. Like people from Hastings, you might have known them, but now they like see them face to face
Yeah.
in school. It's just different. Like
I
having
agree.
a lot more people.
I don't feel like you went through an awkward phase. I
think I definitely did.
You do? I mean, I've been around. I just maybe you just hide it well, or you
think it's
pull
just
it off
I think
well.
it's just like an awkward time in your life, though.
Yeah.
Middle school is just like in general. It's just awkward as a whole.
But the weird thing is like, and everybody talks about their like awkward phase, but then like when you're in it, you're like, or
You
like
don't know
in
you're-
it, you're like, you just don't know. And then once you get
Yeah.
out, you're like, oh,
What was
wow,
I
what
do-
was that? But then,
No, when you're in your awkward phase, you 100% don't know you were.
yeah,
you're
you
in
really
it.
think you're in like the prime.
No, literally.
Do you feel like there's like you guys don't have do you have bullying in your grade? Do you
Bullying?
or like do you guys feel like most everybody gets along? Like is everybody able to feel themselves?
Yeah, like I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, everybody's so nice to each
No,
other, but I
yeah.
think people stay in their lane.
Okay.
Yeah, I
If
don't.
that makes sense.
Well, I don't think anyone like. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I mean, at least I'm not being bullied.
Yes,
Like,
yeah,
I don't think
same.
it's like. I mean, at least I don't notice like bullies necessarily.
Okay.
I think within like groups, I guess, maybe there's like obviously like mean people, but
Yeah.
definitely like I think today, like if you're going out of your way to like bully someone, like you're called out on your BS. Like
Good. I love to
exactly.
hear that.
yeah.
I love to hear that. Now, how are you guys? I always say, if I had social media when I was your age, it would have been, oh my, I can't even imagine. So, how do you guys manage that whole comparison? Like oh, I'm less than because this curated photo just came through,
Yeah.
or I'm not invited to this party. I mean, you have access to everything. How does that play out?
I think, again, like, I just have to go back to, like, I feel like it was just, for me, like, such a big deal in middle school. Like, in 8th grade, like, I had, like, all social media, just, like, seeing, like, oh, these people are there and they didn't invite me, or, like, this girl on Instagram looks so much, like, prettier, like, I want to look like her. But then something just happened where, like, I feel like you find yourself a little bit more, and, like, not being invited, like, doesn't really matter because maybe you have something else to do, or, like, looking like that, like, doesn't matter because you like the way you look. And, like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just think that, like, in middle school, having social media is definitely a lot harder. Maybe it's just, like, you weren't as, like, socially, like, developed or something.
Yeah,
but
I don't think I'd recommend middle schoolers to have
Yeah.
social media at all. I mean, like, I did. So, like, obviously I
Same.
can't be like, oh my gosh, I didn't, and it was so good for me because I did have social media in
Yeah.
middle school, and I don't think it necessarily helped me.
definitely didn't help
like,
me.
at
Yeah.
all. So it's just kind of like a thing where almost like, oh, it's fun to have it because everyone else in your grade has it, but it's not like doing anything for you.
Yeah, and I would say, like, it does get kind of, like, hard. Like, you're, like, just scrolling to, like, you're doomed. Like, you're just doom scrolling the whole entire
Yeah.
day, or, like, something, or just, like, you sit in bed at, like, 8, and then, like, all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, it's 11 p.m., and I'm like, why am I still scrolling on my
I
phone?
know. Like,
But-
minutes turn into seconds, I
Yeah.
swear, whenever I'm like on
I
my
know.
phone. It's so bad.
I just think it was a lot more, like, I guess, real in middle school. And now I feel like it's just kind of like La La Land. Like, you can, like, kind of set it aside.
Are there any people in your high school that don't use social media? Like, because I know with my friend groups, like, we have people who are like, I'm detoxing, I'm not going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, or in middle school, were there kids that, like, just their parents were like hard no, or is it that prevalent where you just can't even fight it?
I think in middle school,
middle
there's
school, for
definitely people
sure.
like whose
Yeah.
parents were like, no.
Yeah.
But, like, I think it got like, okay, like when they're in high school, it's like, okay.
Did your parents let you have it in middle school?
Yeah, and
Same. And I feel like, in a way, like, I know some kids probably, like, wouldn't be able to handle themselves, but, like, it almost, like, taught you to be like, you just can't deal with it.
I think
you
I
just
got,
can't
like,
put up with it.
I think I
know?
got all social media in like 7th grade,
Yeah.
and I think I had like Musically when I was in 4th grade. My parents made me delete that
Same,
because they were
yeah.
like, that's like, you can't have that
Yeah.
like when you're in 4th grade. And so I think my parents like made me like delete it.
Yeah.
And so then I think like I got it back when I was like in like 6th or 7th grade.
Yeah.
So
I could not name one person who doesn't have social media at our high school. Like, I
no,
swear.
I don't know.
I
Like,
swear.
all my friends do.
Yeah.
I'm sure all yours.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of feeling excluded because you see everything everybody's doing, or is that kind of
Well, you don't even. I feel
You
like.
don't?
Because I feel like no one, like, okay, let's say like the only reason I would get upset is if like all my friends were hanging out without me,
Right.
and even then, like, they're not gonna post on Instagram for
And
a
I feel like
hangout.
I
You
feel
know
like
what I
if they
mean?
were to post, you know what you're doing, so you, like, would want to make the other person feel bad. That's, like, the only reason why people post when they
yeah.
hang out with other people, is to be like, oh, like, you're not invited.
so we're seeing through all of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is good. I'm
Yeah.
not really, like, definitely not as bothered as I was.
So we talked about this previously, but I'm afraid to go anywhere anymore because the world is so crazy. And so I cannot imagine being in a school in today's world where you're seeing all of these situations happening
Yeah.
with gun violence. And we have this brand new, beautiful high school in this affluent community with all these windows. And I think about it when I drive by, and I might be a weirdo, but I think about it a lot. So are you guys just immune to it because you've grown up in this day and age? Or do you think about it sometimes when you're in the hallway, like, what would happen if? Or is there a plan?
Yeah.
Or do I just overthink it because I'm crazy?
I mean, like, it's not like a daily thing I think about, but like, I'll think about it every once in a while, I
Yeah.
guess. Like,
It's
yeah,
definitely
honestly.
it's definitely not a daily thing I think about, but, like, when you do think about it, it's an issue. I mean, like, the school is just, like, it's literally just, like, one window. Like, it's just, like,
No, it
you
scares
see in
me.
everything. Every classroom is, like, unless you're on the inside, because there's, like, some inside
Mm-hmm.
classrooms, but, like, everything is just, like, a straight look out to the street or whatever. And I actually think, like, I really like the natural light.
I
And,
do
like, I
too,
think it's
yeah.
It's beautiful.
except for when it's a dark day. But, like, in
Yeah.
terms of, like, a plan or anything, I think we talked about this last time, that, like, we've had, like, one meeting, which we have like this thing called Gold Period. It's like 15 minutes long every day, and it's like a homeroom type thing. And we've had one like talk about it, you know, and then it's like the talk was like our teacher saying, well, if you're in this room, like this is what happens. But it's just, I feel like it's so unrealistic because like the odds of us being in that room, not being in the bathroom, not being in the hallway,
The cafeteria,
not being in the middle of like
Yeah.
the mezzanine, like
It's kind of like trying to plan for something that's just,
yeah,
No, I
definitely
know.
not enough talk about it at all.
No, I don't think there is either. And I don't know, because I know there's like, I don't know. I think it does kind of scare people though to talk about it, but I think it needs to be talked about definitely.
And honestly, I kind of got the vibe from our teachers that, well, like they didn't really know what to say either. And
Yeah.
they kind of like preface with like, oh, this might make some people uncomfortable, but like I think it's more uncomfortable to think about like, you know, being in a shooting rather than talking about what would happen, what we could
I was
Yeah.
just going to say, I
do,
can think of
like-
some things that would be a lot more uncomfortable.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it's also, you know, I think it's a situation where it's an impossible situation where no one has the right definitive answer and everyone's
Yeah.
trying to figure out sanity in a situation that is so insane. And, yeah, I mean, I understand that there's not one specific way
Yeah.
to solve this
Yeah.
problem. It's bizarre. So, you know, you guys have like, you're at the prime, you're almost a prime. You're getting there. You're like gonna fly out of the nest, right? What do you want to do? Like social issues, like what are you passionate about? What do you see in the world right now where you're like, I'm not jiving with this and I want to speak out about this? Like, is there anything like that's like kind of bubbling up where you're like calling bullshit?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot.
I mean, who would you vote for in the presidential election if you could?
I don't even.
I mean,
None.
just, you know,
I'd go
questions
with
like this.
none.
Do you look
Yeah.
at these two guys and go, what the f?
Well, I think it's insane that the two people are old. Like, what are they? They're both like in their late 70s.
Well, Biden's older than that.
Yeah.
Biden's
like 80.
He's
Yeah.
in like, he's 80.
I don't
like,
know how we
something.
got back to like this point
No,
with the
it's
same
insane
these
to
two
me.
people.
No, I know, because in 2020, everyone's like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah.
These people. So you were going
And
to
like
assume.
here we are again.
So you would assume, oh my gosh, we're going to find someone new. And I think we all knew Biden was going to be the candidate because, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, I think the fact that like we couldn't find a better Republican one to beat Biden is
Right.
also kind of like.
Yeah. So you're getting to that age where you're looking at adults. You know, like when you're
Yeah.
younger, you look at adults and you assume that they just know what they're doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you and Chris talked about this, I was like, this is like such a good point. But yeah.
Is that? I mean, is this? Are you in that? Like, has it been happening for you? Like, do you know when you first looked at someone, or whether it was a parent or whoever?
Even some teachers I have that like teach kind of like, I don't know, like, or talk about like current issues and stuff. And
I just
I'm
don't
just like,
agree.
yeah, like, cause you know, they're always like, oh, they're a teacher. Like they know so much. And yeah, especially adults, coaches, like it's just like, now that you've started to form your own opinion, again, I think that's that thing of like growing up. And like, I don't know, sophomore year comes with like a little bit of like more pizzazz. Like you're not a
No, it
freshman.
does.
You're not like, you're like, I can drive. I'm old. Like, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
you're not right.
Yeah.
You're
Well, it
not.
brings
And I
you-
don't agree with you.
It gives you like your own like sense of like, okay, here are my opinions and I am okay if I'm going to share them with you.
Yeah. And it's
You know
like,
what I
even,
mean?
it's like, you know, like French. I don't think it's like to the point where like, oh, friendships are like destroyed, but like,
No, but like
you
I
can
say
definitely disagree.
I've definitely had conversations with some of my friends about stuff and like I've been like, I don't agree with you at all.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
but like no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you are now at that phase though where you're like, no one knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's
Isn't
like,
that wild?
yeah, it's like kind of scary. When you're like
is.
younger, you're like you.
Yeah.
I mean, because in 2020, I feel like even we were still just kind of like, oh, but
Yeah.
no, now it's like, wait, this isn't right.
What grade
This
were we
isn't-
in 2020? We were like what? Like seventh
going into
grade?
seventh? Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, 2020.
Guys, listen, I will say though, the world is your oyster. So any last words of wisdom, thoughts, anything that you want to put out into the airwaves before we close out this high school edition of the Carrie Croft Show? Anything. I mean, what's your mantra? What would you tell somebody? What would you tell younger Jimmy? What would you tell third grade Jimmy?
Third grade Jimmy,
Yeah.
I don't even know. I'd be like, have fun with your life, okay?
Yeah.
Have
It's
fun
not
and
that
listen
deep.
to your mom.
It's not that deep. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Well, you too. I appreciate you coming back in. I know it was my fault, but it's so good seeing your faces again, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And guys, look out for Lucy and Jimmy because I'm telling you, they're going to take the world by storm. And if you're still out there following your girl, follow me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, keep moving, baby. Snap.